I'm unconvinced that there are only two demands, though. I listened to translated, of course, uh, comments by Yushakov this morning, who was speaking for the government. I did not get the impression that all but those two demands had been brushed aside. So I'm a
Okay.
little skeptical of that.
Well, make it even more difficult for there to be any kind of an agreement. Do you get the impression? I do, and my impression is from a Russian talk show called The Great Game, on which I appeared a few hours ago. And one of my questioners was a former general who, the head of the Russian military intelligence, who's now a Russian senator in the upper house of their legislature. They're of the view that after President Putin told Mr. Witkoff that he would meet President Trump, then the Americans added the condition of Zelensky being present. Then Putin's people immediately said, basically, what are you, crazy? That's not going to happen. And that's the Russian understanding, or my understanding of the Russian understanding of how this played out in the past 5 or 6 hours.
No, I think that's probably true. And again, this is the sort of thing that President Trump probably was accustomed to doing in the New York City real estate game. In other words, you arrange for a meeting on the basis of assumptions that are then suddenly overturned once you agreed to the meeting. And there's no doubt that Witkoff probably said the president just wants to meet with you and wants to discuss a range of issues, and we think it's important to talk, and then ultimately leaves, and then later on it's announced we want Zelensky to be president. Again, the Zelensky piece is a complete mystery to me. That man and his regime are part and parcel of this whole sick MI6, CIA, Biden administration cabal that brought it into existence. Why President Trump gives a damn about any of that, why he's interested remotely, makes no sense at all. If
And
he's
what you
serious, if he's serious about saying this is not my war, Judge, the hell
right,
with that.
right. Nobody believes that anymore. But what you just said is the Russian understanding of all this. Does Donald Trump and do the people around him, Vance, Hegseth, Rubio, whoever else you want to put in that group, I don't think they understand the Russian mentality or Vladimir Putin's thinking and personal determination. Do you?
Well, I can't speak, for Secretary Rubio. If you recall, when the first meetings were held after Trump came to office in Saudi Arabia, Secretary Rubio said something that was true, that these meetings about normalizing relations with Moscow had gone very well. He was right. They had. And that was a truthful statement. My impression at that point from Secretary Rubio was that we were genuinely interested in a normalization of relations, quite apart from the whole issue in Ukraine. And there was a justifiable understanding in Trump's mind, at least at that point, that our relationship with Russia was far more important about any short term goals we may have in Ukraine. That seems to have gone by the wayside. Now, where does Secretary Rubio stand? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out why Witkoff goes to Moscow and not Secretary Rubio.
Because Witkoff is the de facto Secretary of State because he's a billionaire real estate developer who was worked with Donald Trump. Rubio is the legal Secretary of State.
Well, this is why people are referring to the New York City delegation in command and control of the United States of America,
Right.
which is, these are unelected people.
Yes.
Uh,
Unelected, unconfirmed,
un,
unnominated, unconfirmed by the Senate.